since he wore purple all the time, could we legally call him the Grapist?
That's why everyone goes with the Mephisto theories. I was like,
That's
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Happy 616th Marvel family. I am your host, the Funny Hatter, and to my left today is going to be...
It's me, Victor. Hi, you can tell it's me, right? It's Victor. It totally sounds like Victor, right? Oh, it's me, Christopher. Whoa, how's it going? I pulled a little sneaky on you. I was hiding behind the fake Victor.
a cutout of Victor.
Yeah, it's just like he just like has an X shirt since he's the X-Man, you know. Just gotta stay on brand.
Exactly. Yeah. So today it looks like it's just gonna be me and Christopher because some of the people, I guess they're just busy today. There's definitely one of our members who's going to be very busy today, so we're just going to keep it nice and short and give you a sweet little episode on some somewhat controversial topics, including Marvel comic books. And so today's topic is going to be about unpopular stories made by Marvel. So this may be a recurring segment, considering how many how many comic books out there that are not quite so popular or kind of tickled people the wrong way. Before we get started, we are going to spin the Wheel of Fortune to find out who is my favorite person of the day and who gets to talk first.
Haha. Well, here we go.
And as the wheel spins, it spins with only basically at the flip of a coin because, it's only two people. But look at that, Christopher, you get to
Oh my god, that's me.
talk first. My favorite person of the day.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm honored. Yes, I wear this like a badge of honor. Yes. So when you mentioned this topic, the first thing that came into mind was this character right here, Spider-Man. No, or it was somebody else said Spider-Man. But the first person that came to mind was a character that I feel like is, I don't know, like I've never really encountered like too many people that actually know who this character was. I was doing a lot of research on like different characters. I really like obscure characters, and I found this guy. I was like, wait, this guy's freaking awesome. Why has nobody heard of this guy? Scourge of the Underworld. Yes, he's this really cool guy. He wears a white mask. He has his cool hat, and he has a very cool catchphrase. I think it's what justice is served. Yeah, justice is served. He always proclaims at the end of every issue, very proudly. He has a very interesting idea of justice, but he's a pretty cool guy. Have you heard of him, by the way? Scourge of the Underworld.
Oh yeah, but I think to modern audiences, people would know him as Scourge, the one who uses the Bifrost to collect things from Midgard, like such relics from Midgard, such as his machine guns that he calls Des and Troy. When you put them together, they destroy.
Oh yes, there is that. That's good. Jason's Scourge of the Underworld, not Scourge, sorry.
And people will know him for his famous catchphrase, "Behold." Oh wait, are we talking about somebody else? Or...
We are actually, yeah. That's
Yeah,
Scourge Executions. Scourge, I think. I can't speak English. Scourge, of the Underworld.
Oh, Scourge.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Scourge.
I did actually, but I realized like no, it's actually Scourge.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Then what? Everything that I just said, going
Put
to
that
be
in a blender.
censored, probably. Probably because of how badly I fucked that up.
Oh, it's my fault too. But yeah, this guy is quite unknown, and it's really interesting too because actually what he does is like take care of unknown characters. He's basically Marvel's garbage man. Marvel is at a problem of like there's so many villains that just disappeared, like these B and C and even lower than that villains that just disappeared.
Hello.
Oh wait, you can't hear me right now. Oh no.
You kind of cut out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess my connection dropped for a second. So Scourge, that guy. Yeah. He's an interesting character because he's pretty lesser known, and it's funny too because his job is sort of like Marvel's garbage man. Because at the time when he was created, there's like so many different characters that just sort of disappeared without like any sort of like closing points to their story. So what they did was they invented this guy, Scourge, and he's this assassin guy that takes care of all the different villains that are roaming around and stuff like that. So like any of the C villains or even lower than that, the D villains or whatever that were in some sort of story, like maybe some one-off or something, and they never appear again. It was up to him to take them down, and it's really quite fascinating. Just like I feel his comics are mostly like super action-based, where he's just hunting down these villains or whoever is on his hit list, and he takes care of them. And at the end, he says, always justice is served. He's a master of disguise. He wears this sort of white hood with like a skeleton on it and stuff like that. He's got this really cool hat, and he like a white fedora with a black stripe, but then he also has sort of this white trench coat and stuff like that. So he's a little like Mr. Knight in a way, except with a hat. If Mr. Knight had a hat, then that'd be pretty cool too. So he goes around and he kills the various villains that have sort of faded into obscurity, bringing them back to the light just to end them. It's pretty awesome. He's got a lot of cool stories, and he interacts with a lot of different characters too. Like there's one, for example, where he's on a bus and he sees the Thing himself riding the bus for some reason. You gotta get around somehow, right? So that's pretty cool. And I don't think, at least in the original run, that he ever reveals his face. So it's like a mystery as to like who this guy is. So I feel like that's pretty cool. So like this mystery assassin guy, the Punisher almost even, going around and killing all of these villains and all these other characters that sort of faded away, and then disappearing into the night again. He's a master of disguise, always disguising himself as like different people. I think he may have even disguised himself as like an old woman too, kind of like the one, if you've ever seen like one of the older Captain America comics where Captain America disguises himself as a grandma. It's a classic sort of Marvel thing. You know that best characters always disguise themselves as grandmas, of course.
Captain America did that?
Yeah, yes, yeah. It's a classic. I'll have to find an image of that, but it's great. Yeah.
Sounds awesome. I need to check this out.
yes. I'm trying to try to remember when exactly that happens. But yeah, good stuff. I think the context is he's like trying to sneak into like a prison or something. I don't know, but yeah, Scourge is it's pretty cool. He doesn't like have like I could say a consistent like storyline for him besides just hunting down villains. I don't think, at least I don't remember. But it's more of just like sort of like a series of like short stories of him going after these different villains. I think is really cool idea that I honestly I'd love to see like Marvel do that one day. Like there's some villains that are just floating around out there. Like what happened to the leader? Stuff like that. That's maybe that can be handled with Scourge if they ever introduce him. So yeah, I thought he was quite a cool character and someone that's faded into obscurity, sadly, which is sad to see. But not a controversial story, but definitely lesser known and sort of forgotten, unpopular guy that I miss daily. I think about him every night before I go to bed, and it makes me sad. I cry a few tears before I go to sleep just thinking about this guy.
That's funny. Now I gotta get Disney. I gotta like point a gun at Disney and like get them to get Chris Evans back dressed as Captain America but disguised as an old lady and put it on the
Yes. Oh god, yes, that would be great. Captain America 4. That's the plot right there.
Mm-hmm. So what about this comic that you chose makes it controversial or unpopular?
That is a really good question. I don't know like why it wasn't super popular. It's kind of weird because it feels like something that would be really popular. Like all these characters that we have forgotten about are back in this comic. Maybe the problem is that he's going after these obscure characters that nobody really cared about. So it's like, these guys are back. Who cares? Let me see Green Goblin. So yeah, I don't actually know why he feels like someone that would be really popular, or I don't know about really popular. He feels like someone that would be at least like sort of like who Moon Knight was before the TV series, where a fair amount of people knew about him, but wasn't like the most popular character ever. So yeah, it's really weird. I was thinking about that like as I was researching more about him to really make sure. Hey Victor, welcome.
Who do we have here?
Hey, Victor has joined in. The cutout of Victor has come to life.
Great, you just made me lie to the audience.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We can put you on the wheel.
It's just sorry. I was late for arriving.
That's okay.
Hey, no worries. Glad to have you.
As long as you have something to talk about, then we won't be too upset.
I do have something to talk about. I did plan this.
Okay.
I didn't plan to be late, but I planned to have something. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
Okay. We're just in the middle of talking about what Christopher chose being Scourge, a interesting character that didn't become too popular. Or did he become popular, or just his story didn't become popular?
Yeah, that is. But I guess both his story, like the first run of him and his character himself, did not become popular. Like it's just sort of a character that just faded away. I don't think he has like any, say, video game appearances or anything like that, or any TV series, any reference anywhere else. So yeah, he's just sadly just like sort of like a character that existed and then just sort of has come around a few different times. Has come back into fruition, but it's never really like stuck around. Sadly, never really like gained any traction. Perhaps the traction that he deserves is far beyond his reach. Sadly.
So what
I'll
about
let you
this
keep on
character?
going.
Yeah. So what about this character drew him to where you wanted to talk about him?
Yes. Mainly just because he's such an unpopular character in terms of like, not as like, oh, this guy's infamous, but just like unknown, that I really wanted to bring attention to him because I feel like he's a character that could be really awesome, like with the right writer, and really could like be a cool character that could be brought into the modern times and really just be awesome. I feel like he's kind of like, in a sense, like he's not like Peacemaker, but he feels like a character that could be like Peacemaker, where a character that's just like sort of faded into obscurity that can be brought back into the light and could be a pretty beloved character, or at least a character that would make for a really interesting story, whether that be a new comic story, or like even, I feel like even better, maybe a live action like miniseries or something. I think would be great.
Oh, interesting. So which villain did you say that this guy was for again?
Oh, he's fought a variety of different villains. Like he's fought the Enforcer. His first appearance was actually in an Iron Man comic from 1985, which is pretty cool. But yeah, he's fought a lot of like really random villains that are probably like not super well known. Like Psycho Man, classic villain right there. He's fought some Thor characters and stuff like that. I don't know, some other really random like guys, Mindwave, Hellraiser, Hijacker, Mindwave, all these super famous guys that everyone has posted all over their rooms. Of course, everyone's favorite villains right there. He's killed them.
Kill them all.
All of them are dead. Yeah. So any sort of like random villain that was maybe just like in one or a few comics back in the day could possibly see themselves coming back for their final act in a Scourge comic. So I think that's pretty cool. Just bringing all these guys, their stories to a close, because there might be one fan out there that really liked that character. Like, what happened to this villain? I've never seen him. He appeared in Iron Man issue 157, but he's never come back. It's like, oh, he's killed off in Scourge number 5 or something. There we go. Okay, all right, we go. So basically, like I said, just to summarize his character, I feel like he's just Marvel's garbage man, taking care of any forgotten character that's floating around in there. They're gonna get scourged.
That'd be funny if like there was like a show that Disney comes out with one of the Marvel superheroes, and it goes into like a meta tie-in to where some of the characters are self-aware that they have to be popular, otherwise they meet Scourge, and Scourge takes care of them and pretty much just locks them away forever.
We gotta do well this season. We're gonna get Scourge, guys. Please. Oh, that'd be funny.
I think the MCU has mostly used D-list characters at the very least. So I think the most that they could do is probably their obscurest were probably on TV most. So yeah, I guess there could be a few examples actually that they could murder in that way.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I don't know. I feel like recently we've had a resurgence of certain characters we haven't seen in a while, like Abomination, of course, and Zemo. Zemo hasn't been that long compared to Abomination, of course, but so that's nice to see. But there's other characters floating around, like Justin Hammer, who we saw, of course, in the it was All Hail the King or whatever, the Trevor shorts one shot. It's great. So there's probably a few characters that are still floating around somewhere that haven't been killed off, like Whiplash, that could possibly be taken care of now with Scourge.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he's dead too, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah.
Well, you have anything more to say on this character, or do you think you've pretty much just said your 2 cents on Scourge?
I think that's about it. Yeah, it is a shame that we haven't seen too much of him, because I feel like he does have a lot of potential, to round out his character even more. His character is fairly flat, But I feel like that's the point, that he's, it's not about who the character is behind the mask. It's about what he does that defines him. I feel like so I feel like modern day, like if there's a modern day comic that it could really benefit his character and perhaps even make him more popular, bring people's attention to him, because like I don't know anyone really that like if I mention the character that they'll know who that is. So I feel like it's a shame that he's unpopular, but maybe one day we'll see him come back.
Hopefully, then we can have like a audio drama of our own of scores.
Yes, then justice will be served.
Exactly. Well, since that has come and passed, it is time for us to return to the wheel of torture this time.
Yes.
And it looks like there will be 3 people that would be my favorite and least favorite person of the day, and either the most or least. So we're gonna figure out who that is by the spin of the wheel. Who gets to talk next?
Indeed.
Oh.
Victor, you're up next.
Oh no.
I am.
Least favorite person of the day. So,
That is expected.
Oh no.
I'm sorry for the late arrival, but yes, it's
Hey,
my
glad you're
turn as the least favorite person today, the unexpected arrival of Victor, the X-Man.
The X-Man himself.
Here today. And for unpopular stories, I'm going to go for a recent one this time.
Ooh.
And that's going to be Civil War II.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm gonna go on the negative front this time because, for Christopher's choice, it was a obscure character, but one you want to have around. This one, this one goes from concept to story of just deserves to be unpopular.
This was actually a story that I never got around to, but I was very curious about. So please do tell a lot about this.
I will. Basically, the concept, which I'll start with, as all stories do, is that another superhero civil war is emerging once more. This time, instead of the ideals of superheroes based around a recent political bill being passed around a recent disaster that causes the superhero community to diverge apart. This time, there is an Inhuman named Ulysses. That's his name. I mean, and that seems to be the common Marvel pronunciation of Ulysses, so I'm just going to use it. And he has precognitive abilities that can predict the future. Like, he has visions of the future events of the Marvel Universe. And the thing with him and this whole precog situation is that all the Marvel superheroes then end up, some of them, this isn't really as big a civil war as the last one, but it's sort of like how the Vietnam War or the Cold War is not as big as the World Wars. In this case, they're still given the same names. In this case, a lot of superheroes anyway figure out that this guy is legit. That oh my god, this one thing was right, therefore all that this guy predicts is right. We should do something about it. And Carol Danvers gathers a whole bunch of superheroes on her side of things, and then goes, "Hey, maybe we should take everything this guy says as literal, and enforce on everyone related to these visions, despite how unlikely some of them might seem." And Tony Stark, meanwhile, ironically being the futurist, as he's called, is the one that is maybe we should question this.
I mean,
maybe this guy isn't legit.
Right once.
And yeah, he goes through it of like, possibly this guy's powers might be inflicted by his own internal biases as a person. Maybe there is something that interferes with these powers, like stress of current events.
Mm-hmm.
There could be multiple causes and variables involved, like, with a lot of different powers. There's always a monkey's paw with this sort of unlimited power situation. And yeah, that's what causes this war or between like the superhero community and of course the multiple players involved are like, oh, maybe we should go for Captain Marvel's side, or maybe we should go for Iron Man's side in this situation. But it is, like I said, a lot more local this time around.
So I'm a bit confused on like whose argument is what. Because from what I heard, it's either one of them. Like one side believes that people should be punished before the crime if the guys see.
Yeah, that is precisely what Carol's side is implying.
That the crime should come afterwards. So,
Tony Stark basically just wants crime fighting to be exactly the way it was before. So it's unlike Cap's side where it's like screw the government. In his case, back in Civil War One. Now we also have to say that. So that is.
Is Carol Danvers? So is Carol Danvers saying that punishment before crime or after crime?
Punishment before crime, essentially. There was various players being hunted down in this story. I think one big example is, of course, that Clint Barton ends up killing the Hulk because of one of these visions of him. This is also one of the many examples of the Hulk being nude. I think I mentioned this on one of the earlier episodes of this podcast that Hulk ends up becoming nude in the story as well. That was one of the visions. This vision was of nude Hulk destroying everything.
He's naked.
Run away!
Really, it's the first thing that put me on Tony's side, aside from the fact that I love Tony, but it's the fact that maybe if you're having nude visions of the Hulk, there is something else going on there.
Are you sure that this is a vision, or is this a fantasy? No, it's real. It's real. I swear. He's gonna be naked, and he's gonna throw cars everywhere.
Yep, and of course Hawkeye kills him in order to stop this, and he gets arrested for it for a bit, and it's miserable for Hawkeye because he feels guilt about it, kill his best friend there because of a future vision. But that's the one good result of the story, that because Hulk is killed, L. Earwing takes over and makes Mortal Hulk. So that was a cool story. Arguably, we did get one good story out of this. But yeah, for Iron Man's point of view of this story with Captain Marvel versus Iron Man, Iron Man's basically fighting for the status quo for once. That is literally what he's doing, examining, questioning this guy's powers, and for everyone to just go about their daily lives, not using these visions as the sole reason for crime fighting, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the superhero community is small, all but divided on this. Compared to Civil War, the first one, where everyone knew about that. Every superhero with a mask, or even without a mask, would know about this bill that is passed because, the entire school got at the Stanford incident. After that, everyone knew. It was on the news everywhere. Tony Stark was announcing the whole position there of putting people into his giant prison. Lots of famous superheroes, of course, unmasking, with Spider-Man being the big one of the first story. Everyone would know, and everyone would have to pick a side because superheroing is their daily lives.
Yeah.
With this guy, Ulysses, like it became heavily localized to whoever was famous at the time. Like, it was more a civil squad war, like, more than anything. Basically just whoever was hanging out with who. And anyone who was fitting in the consequences. I mean, obviously, anyone external would be anyone involved in these visions. For instance, Old Man Logan. You know, it's not like he would care about what's going on with all these different characters fighting about this Inhuman, especially since he's a mutant.
Sorry, my problems only revolve around mutants.
Plus, he's too old for this at that point.
Oh, exactly.
But he does get involved because there is a future vision where he ends up murdering his granddaughter clone. Because he has too many clones that he basically without his consent and got a family tree. And yeah, in this case, and she's been a cool character in her own book, but basically this one spent the whole thing potentially dying. Gabrielle Kinney, the sort of daughter of X-23. And
that was like the sort of kind of daughter that maybe, yeah, maybe.
And yeah, ironically, with this one, compared to the other visions, this literally causes it to happen. Like Carol Danvers' whole busting down the doors and going, "You're under arrest, old man Logan. You're about to kill your granddaughter," and then he goes, "Oh my god, I'm gonna kill my granddaughter," and then he does.
Stop! You're about to kill your granddaughter. I'm about to kill my granddaughter. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he ends up accidentally stabbing her in his rage. And yeah, like
I'm about to kill my granddaughter. Well, now you said it, I kind of want to do it.
Yeah, all right. Good idea.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't actually do it by that measure, but like it's more his berserker rage, of course, is Wolverine that ends up causing it.
That or
yeah, like, even through these moments here of like that through this berserker rage caused by the stress of Carol Danvers busting down his doors, Carol is unwavering and like this mutant is right because well she was proven right. She was proven right by this whole thing. Wolverine did end up technically doing so, even if it was Carol's fault. And like I think it really brings down Carol's character development, especially with like earlier lore, like the alcoholism, for instance. You know, of course, in the first Civil War, Cap and Iron Man, of course, had this like massive relationship building up to it, both in the comics First Civil War and the movies First Civil War, which is why this event even got made. Was of course movie Civil War upcoming. So you gotta have a civil war going on in the comics right away.
Of course.
Those people to war.
How do we relate the comic books that we want people to read with the movie that's coming out? I know. We'll make a sequel to the one that is based off
Another
of.
Civil War.
Let's bring them all to war again.
They went through this really devastating and heartbreaking experience where they all fought themselves.
Wow. Let's do that again.
Another.
And yeah, like I think Cap was actually the only one that like realized that. That was like one thing that he realized. Oh wait, didn't we do this before? Did I die?
Wait a sec.
I'm gonna die this time, right? Maybe. I don't know.
At that point, he was a little too busy going, you know, I swear we've done this before. I swear we've done this before. Hail Hydra. I swear we've done this before. I swear we've done this before. Like that was also building up at this time, but that's the thing. Your events aren't really special anymore when you have like a million events also going on. background of your story. Civil War 1 had, like, there's stuff going on in between it, but, like, you know, it wasn't, like, preoccupying the main story, per se. Not too much, anyway. You know, your standard event-wise nature of it. Yeah, when it comes to what it interfered with, of course, our main players, is that Carol Danvers, of course, suffered from alcoholism. Like, from a lot of earlier terrible stories. Ones I did not want to involve here, because, like, there's some pretty mature stuff there. Except Marvel considered, like, okay, like, for a celebration issue, but, like, did not work out. But,
Oh.
like, oh my god, in hindsight, this is traumatic.
This might make kids feel bad.
Oh.
Make them drink. Can't have that in the movies.
Yep. And Carol Danvers ended up doing so, and yeah, it was quite relatable, like later on at least, of like what she was going through. Like, had a lot of deep development with her character, and like here, you know, Tony, of course, just like with Captain previous Civil War, wanted to make amends. Carol, and like, you know, I also suffered from alcoholism because, you know, Tony Stark did, Demon in the Bottle. That he suffered from. And, you know, they end up relating at like an AA meeting, I believe, that they both go to in the story. Carol just shuts him down like immediately.
Oh, wait a minute. That's how they resolve their problems into an A to A meeting?
No, they don't end up resolving their problems. I'll get to that soon. But yeah, they but she does shut him down basically, and like declare like this change is nothing, and that we are not the same going through any of these problems. Basically, just like chewing him out for, you know, no reason aside from, you know, I guess it's their opposite sides right now. And one of the big ones that basically leads to the giant like arena battle here is one of the visions being Miles killing Captain America.
Oh wow!
And like this one does not end up like happening. A comparison, mainly because they did have this massive spectacle battle in the middle. Like this big egg open area. I believe it was outside the White House, of course.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is kind of funny because they also end up doing that in Secret Empire as well. Like Washington, like barely rebuilds, and then they decide to fight each other again. Yep. And yeah, and this fight, you know, Tony is like on his last breath on this thing of just like, God damn, I got like punch Carol into being convinced that this Inhuman that predicts the future is wrong.
Oh, it's almost like I saw that coming before Stark. No, you didn't. Because we can't confirm that.
Yep. And the end result of all the punching once again of civil battle here is that Tony loses. Stark ends up getting punched into a coma. He does not die.
Oh yeah, that's right, because like almost immediately Riri Williams takes his place, right?
Yeah, there was a brief Iron Man tie-in book happening during the event. Like Tony Stark was too busy at the event to check how someone replaces him in the armor. Well, not really replaces him because he was still currently in the armor fighting Carol Danvers. But that an MIT student made her own Iron Man armor in MIT and basically got expelled at that point for doing that. She ends up stopping an armored truck with this makeshift Iron Man suit, and there's also like a cute, it will like tongue-in-cheek reference of like I start hearing about this and going, "What?" Like someone just mentions it to him offhand.
Some random person just went into my suit.
Like, there's no context in what they tell him, too. Like, he could have seen it as just they stole his suit, is how they described it. So. And, like, because he's given, like, minimal information, and then they never mention it again and just expect that, you know, he just, like, go, oh, I know about this. Now I shall make all of her earthly possessions, even after me being in a coma. Like, yeah, that ends up, like, basically, Tony Stark the world anyway, because of being in a coma, is essentially dead. Like,
Yeah, I can't exactly do anything.
Carol Danvers essentially went to war with her fellow Avenger and teammate for this Inhuman that can predict the future, and then killed her friend and for it. That's what ends this whole thing.
I mean, he's not exactly a friend. He's more of like an acquaintance, but I do kind of feel bad about it.
It's not like a retrospective of like, oh my god, what have I done? Like, the war does end. Like, that shock just goes like, maybe we shouldn't listen to this guy.
Maybe.
He's not strong enough to not go into a coma.
That's true.
Like, they end up stop listening to USCS his visions. I believe it's like with all the precognitive guys in the Marvel universe, he does end up not able to, being able to like manifest these future visions anymore. He still does, but yeah. By comparison, he does end up going further past. So by comparison, he's no longer like a part of the Civil War, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he vanishes into eternity. So I think the whole thing there. I remember. So yeah, with
what got you interested into going into?
I'll go into that. What got me into using the story? Is what you're saying?
Yeah, why specifically Civil War 2?
Well, the thing is, with a lot of unpopular stories, like, say, fitting example is like one of the most iconic ones for this. One More Day, for instance, which was an aftermath to the last Civil War. Like, at least with that one, they had a reason for it. Of like, Peter Parker's continuity needed to like be changed up in like certain ways for future stories. And then it was sort of like DC's crisis, where like you needed some bits and you also need to get rid of some other bits.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were bad, at least half still sucked, but there was at least somewhat of a reason for stuff. For this, even the aftermath, aside from the Immortal Hulk thing I mentioned earlier, a lot of these end up getting forgotten, very quickly. That's what got me to pick this one, because, you gotta go high in terms of, what caused this thing to be unpopular, even so recent.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, that ends up happening in a lot of cases, like Riri Williams, for instance. People would say, oh, the story is needed because, Tony Stark being put in a coma allows Riri Williams to become Ironheart, being, her own superhero and stuff. Started off. But, he ends up becoming a better superhero, afterwards of joining this super team with Kamala Khan and Amadeus Cho and some other teen superheroes in the Champions, and makes her own more unique suit from Tony after he comes back from his coma. So that ends up not really being a case of you needed Tony Stark to be punched into a coma for that.
How far people are willing to go.
Yeah, that is the same thing with Carol Danvers. You'd think this is something that will rock her to her core here, just punching someone into a coma. And that ends up not happening either. Next time the two meet, it's like she just hit him on the wrist or something.
What's up?
It's you gotta get over me punching you into a coma,
It wasn't
Tony.
that big of a deal, Tony. Come on. Stop bringing it up.
Come on, it's not like I paralyzed you or anything. Come on.
He ends up making artificial enhancements to his body, which causes the UN to question if it's really Tony Stark. Carol also ruined his life after death here too, which I guess is a pretty massive consequence. Some ways there. But yeah, the consequence character-wise was minimal here. And he ended up fixing everything anyway. But I said events being like soon after events really does cause a whole bunch of trouble with stories. And as a result, like, yeah, this one was massively unpopular. It was heard about a lot, like that is definitely for sure, but it was definitely like infamous rather than anything in that respect there. And a lot of characters ended up recovering, like compared to the main players. Like I didn't mention others as much. For instance, War Machine ends up also dying in this arc, but this time he legit died. He wasn't just sent into a coma. But he comes back in the same way Tony did, and goes through a separate arc of like not wanting to put on the War Machine suit, because the last time he did that, Carol Danvers, told him jump off this bridge, and War Machine said how high, and yeah, that's why he doesn't really wear the War Machine suit, and had like a lot of PTSD around that. Afterwards in the remaining Tony arcs, and everyone else just like sort of dealed, like they continued with the rest of their story, because like again, compared to Civil War 1, this is not a massively affecting event. Like I just imagine all the Marvel superheroes in that event just like going like crossing their fingers and going, please don't be me, please don't be my vision, please don't be my vision, please don't be my vision. Hey, I'm not important to this arc. Oh, sorry, Logan, for you killing your granddaughter. Yeah, that is basically like my sort of 2 cents on this one. Like the Civil War II story of how everyone went to war for a guy with a soul patch who can predict the future.
It was the soul patch that got everybody.
Civil War II, the second one.
The second one.
Well, thank you very much for sharing with us Civil War II. I definitely want to check it out to see like what it like really riled people up more about it. See if there's even like more stuff about it too.
A lot of people were riled up by different arcs in it. Of course, just like Civil War 1, there's the different tie-in issues and stuff that leads to some controversies. For instance, yeah, I don't want to spoil all of it, but yeah, there's certainly quite a few controversies that were started by this thing, minor and major. Everyone was facing death and controversy of various kinds to their arcs.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to read more about it. Need to see. It's like one of those things you need to see for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Good point there.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to the wheel, and since I'm gonna be going last, I'm gonna find out if I'm the last in either the most or the least. It doesn't really have an effect on anything. It just makes me feel better if I happen to be the most. So far, I think I've been just getting the least.
That's true, yeah.
And,
You've had a solid run of the least, sadly.
And that least streak continues. I guess the wheel really hates me.
Damn.
That's okay.
Oh.
I'll eventually sue this stupid wheel selection company. Doesn't even have colors I like. It's just like dark. It's just like dark green and like sickly yellow.
Oof.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, the story that I'd like to talk about today is one that apparently pissed off a lot of fans back in the day when they were doing the Ultimates comics. If you don't know if you don't know what the Ultimates comics were, it's well, first of all, the Avengers aren't the Avengers, they're the Ultimates. And the Ultimate comics, though I would say it's kind of a saving grace for like a lot of the costumes that we see nowadays, because they tried to make the costumes of the superheroes look a bit more realistic. Into like how they would look in like in real life, so you're not always like looking at Hispanics. You're looking like armor for Captain America and Thor, or like a nanotype for Spider-Man and Black Panther. So with the Ultimates, the attempt back in the day was a reboot of the Marvel Universe. The attempt was to make it the world of comics make a bit more sense, but they ended up just becoming a bit more convoluted and difficult to understand as time went on. So in this story, we're going to be looking at the one that was probably the most gratuitously grotesque, known as Ultimatum. And Ultimatum is a story.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ultimatum is a story to where it is just like a brutal story about Magneto in the latest big story of like, I want to say the Ultimates 3. I think this comes off Ultimates 3. So Ultimates 3, if I'm wrong about it, criticize me later, has Doctor Doom send an assassin to kill the Scarlet Witch. And in the comics, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are the offspring of Magneto. Now, Doctor Doom knew that Magneto would retaliate in some way to start a war against humanity, and the plan was to, like, after that war happens, he would be there to pick up the pieces and just like rule as much as he could of whatever was left over. What he didn't anticipate is that one day, like just on Earth, everybody was just enjoying their day until out of randomly nowhere, New York starts to flood like incredibly fast. Like the ocean has just completely covered New York City. Latveria, to where Doctor Doom rules, has just turned into a gigantic ice age. People outside are frozen, like they're dead. They're just frozen in ice. Volcanoes are going off everywhere, all over the planet. The whole world seems like it's going into like some kind of doomsday, and some people know what's going on, but most don't. And some of those people who do know what's going on, Charles Xavier says, "Oh, this was like a doomsday scenario that I once talked to Magneto about, but I didn't think he'd actually have the balls to do it." So it turns out that Magneto did retaliate like Doctor Doom predicted. What he didn't predict Magneto to do was that he decided to go not to war with mankind, because he sees mankind different from mutants. Not to go to war against mankind, but against the entire world. He was going to start over, like he says in the comics, kind of like with God and Noah and his ark, to where the people that would survive would be very few, and then everything's going to start over again. More than likely, like the people that are just like the few people that are on Magneto's side. So he was planning on wiping the slate clean, making sure that pretty much everybody on Earth dies, except for like a handful of people. And the way that he did this was that he used his power of magnetism to tilt the Earth off its axis. And that's why all these disasters are happening all at once, because the Earth is not in place of the sun's gravity. And so because of this, since all these disasters are happening all at once, a whole bunch of these heroes are dying just like quickly. Like Nightcrawler dies from drowning. Let's see, a good portion of the X-Men are actually dead. Johnny Storm ends up missing with his dad. And the Fantastic Four like trying to figure out how to like put the water like back into where the ocean is supposed to be. And let's see, and after this all happens, like probably like one of my favorite parts is like Reed Richards gets into well, before he does that, Sue Storm pushes the water back with her powers, but it knocks her out because the power's too much. He gets into a boat and looks for Namor, the submariner, and they start having a fight, saying like, I know you're a part of this somehow. I was like, I didn't do anything, you jerk. So they get into a fight, and he knocks out Namor, and like straps him to like the hood of like his like speedboat. That's when he picked up by Dr. Doom and said, okay, yeah, so this is kind of my fault. You see, the assassin who killed Scarlet Witch, yeah, that was me. I sent the assassin. But the thing was, I thought that Magneto would just go to war with mankind. I didn't think he'd actually try to kill everybody. So now we have to find Nick Fury, and he's going to figure out how to stop this. So as this is going on, a whole bunch of heroes are dying. Janet Van Dyne, who is the Wasp, goes missing with Yellow Jacket. Hank Pym, who's Yellow Jacket at the time. And by the way, this is supposed to be like a very like dark take on Marvel characters. So this is what people would consider to be edgy now.
Yep.
Like Hawkeye
Late
has
2000s stuff.
Yeah.
yeah, late 2000 stuff. Like Hawkeye, he's got like a mask with like red eyes, like on the front. The Hulk is gray.
Yeah, he is gray 100% of the
And
time.
he eats people. I'm not kidding about that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, a lot
Like,
of
I first
cannibals
started
in
out
the
green.
story.
yeah.
Um,
I'm actually gonna get to that part. I've been like looking to speak about that part specifically because it's just out of nowhere. But like the Hulk, like he first starts off as green, but then like mixes Captain America's blood with his, and then that makes him gray and stronger, I guess. So as they're looking, as Reed Richards and Namor and Doctor Doom are doing their own stuff to find Nick Fury, everybody else, including Spider-Man, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Yellow Jacket, and Hawkeye are doing their own thing trying to help New York City. But Yellow Jacket is looking for the Wasp because he's freaking out about like her being missing. So as Hawkeye is assisting him, out of nowhere, the Blob, one of the X-Men villains, is like Hawkeye finds the Blob eating the intestines of the Wasp, like out of nowhere, and like he's not a zombie or anything. He just wanted to eat her, I guess, just like out of nowhere. He's like, tastes like chicken. And then Yellow Jacket like picks him up. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? You just eat my wife?" And he's like, "Oh, but hey, it's nothing personal, man. You know, I mean, I just saw a free body here. It's,
when in Rome, you know.
Yeah.
Rome, man." And so what he does is he like picks him up and he bites his head. He literally bites the Blob's head off, and he's like, "Well, of course it's gonna be personal, dipshit. You just ate my wife." So, in shock, Hank Pym is trying to escort the Wasp's corpse over to the Triskelion, to where that's like the head base of Shield. And he's in denial that she's dead. And Hawkeye's trying to like tell him that he's like, she's dead, dude. Like her stomach is gone. Like it's just a hole there now. It's like it's just protruding guts. It's like, no, I can save her. I can save her. The Triskelion has technology. But as this is going on, Iron Man had also saved Captain America out of the flood, and he went into a coma, and he was placed in the Triskelion. And Thor was, he found that his lover, Valkyrie at the time, was missing, and she died, so he goes to Valhalla to talk to Hela, and Hela is much different from the interpretation from Thor Ragnarok. She says, "Hey, you can have Valkyrie back, but you gotta fight my army of the dead." He's like, "Okay,"
All
so
right,
he does
sure.
that. And he finds Captain America there because he's kind of sorted. He should be dead. So he is dead, and he's fighting alongside Thor to figure out like what's going on. He's like, "Okay, I defeated your army. I want Valkyrie back." It's like, "Well, here's the thing. If I let one go, then one has to stay. So either Captain America, you gotta stay, or Thor, you gotta stay, or she's gotta stay." And like, "Oh, damn it." So he finds a way to where Captain America can go back, and so can Valkyrie, but he has to stay behind. So Thor is now dead. He's down for the count. Spider-Man ends up going missing in action after he tries to prevent the Hulk smashing the Sanctum Sanctorum, which releases Dormammu. So Spider-Man, we don't know if he's dead or not because it just says in the credits missing in action. And once Dormammu's free, it turned out somehow, I don't know, he ended up kidnapping Johnny Storm and is using the Human Torch's flames to fuel himself. I don't know how that works, and I don't know how he just happened to slip past Doctor Strange to go and kidnap the Human Torch. But as Doctor Strange is trying to put him back to where he was supposed to go, he uses magic to like wrap himself in his own sash, and like he bursts his head like a zit. It's like super gratuitous, especially like the way like how he's like suffocating. But Doctor Strange is down, he's dead, and to where like a handful of the X-Men can actually go off to fight Magneto. Angel is going nuts because like his girlfriend was killed, so he goes alone to face Magneto stupidly. And so a handful of the X-Men and a handful of the Ultimates, not the Avengers, the Ultimates, go to fight Magneto, and try to kill him before he allows more of these disasters to happen. So that's when Magneto ends up killing Wolverine with Iron Man and Storm's assistance by controlling like the metal that's on them. And then Nick Fury shows up with Doctor Doom and Reed Richards, so Nick Fury uses Jean Grey to intercept his mind to show him that mutants aren't actually like the next evolutionary step. They were just created in a lab, and so you're just basically killing you're just killing humans. You're just killing everybody. He's like, "Oh God,
What have I done?"
Which I don't know why he would come to that conclusion. It's just
Yeah,
because
he basically just learned basic science here.
yeah. So he's like, so that changes his mind, and Cyclops ends up killing Magneto, and it like just blast him, like obliterate him. And so like out of nowhere, the X-Men come out, and like Scott Summers, Cyclops, is like, okay, so it turns out it was a mutant that killed everybody, but not all mutants are bad, okay? Even though there's like a parade outside saying no more mutants, no more mutants. He's like, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to pass a bill that says mutants have to turn themselves over or they will be shot on sight. Ironically, he gets shot on sight by an assassin, and he gets shot like at the White House, like in front of every.
God.
And Iron Man being thrown into a coma and, everyone fighting
like
at the White
everybody's-
House.
Yes. So everybody's freaking out, and then like we don't see who the assassin is, but it turns out that Quicksilver was the one who sent the assassin to kill Cyclops, and he becomes like the next Magneto. I don't know how that works, considering that his parents aren't magnet based, but whatever. I mean, it's his dad's helmet. Sure, why not? Go right ahead. So
He can wear it if he wants.
Yeah. Sure, it fits.
after telling you the complete story and taking up way too much time telling it, the point that I was getting across, the reason why I brought this up to attention is because a lot of people did not like seeing how grotesque this comic book was. I get that they were like trying to reboot again, but like the way that they were just killing everybody, I think it just rubbed people the wrong way. Especially like the one that shocked me the most was probably just Blob just eating Janet Van Dyne's corpse, just like out of nowhere. And like I don't know if like it's established before that he was already a cannibal or if he was already practicing cannibalism, but it's just so out of nowhere because it doesn't even show Blob like in the beginning of the story, like at all foreshadowing that or anything. And there's even like cover art to where like he's just gorging like on a chicken leg and a hamburger, but he's like only in there for like a few panels until like Yellow Jacket kills him.
Like,
So
he's
so
basically
the
just
way
there
they
to
draw
show
is like
off.
if they were like drawing, yeah, but he just pops out of nowhere. He's like,
Yeah.
ooh, don't mind if I do. Free corpse. So yeah, it's a very weird direction that they took, trying to end this line of continuity, because like right after Ultimatum, there was like a X-Men issue for Ultimatum, and like I think Spider-Man came back after missing. He went missing, but yeah, I like I said, I think one of the reasons why this story was so unpopular is just like the brutal and gratuitous deaths that the heroes had to go through, because like even like Wolverine, like Magneto uses powers to direct Iron Man's repulsor blast to where he just like vaporized pretty much all of Wolverine and like took the adamantium out of his skeleton to where there's only like an arm left.
Just the one arm.
It was nuts to read.
Yeah, oh yeah, I actually, I kind of
For
forgot
sure.
about a lot of the stuff like as you talked about, it's like, oh yeah, it started coming back.
Yeah, like well, out of elements, I also remember there that were ridiculous. Like, if there is a way to kill off like the majority of the like ultimate cast, in order to prepare them for Secret Wars, where it pretty much was just Miles being brought over at that point, then this would be the way to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Terribly, but a way to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
It's not, maybe it's not the way to do it, but it's a way to do it.
You can do it in this way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't believe that. Yeah, this part I forgot entirely, but like that this story also had Iron Man being tossed into a coma. Like, this is a repeated precedent.
This poor guy. God.
Like two things that are consistent with Iron Man: alcoholism and comas.
Comas. They go
Yeah.
hand in hand sometimes.
just
But yeah, that's true, because like there was even like a comic book to where like Deadpool was like trying to help Iron Man. Well, I mean, sort of, because he made like a deal with somebody to where like Tony Stark had to stop being Iron Man, and so what he does is like he makes him. He starts helping him get over his addiction of alcoholism, but he knocks him out and puts him into a coma, and then like uses the Iron Man suit to like get rid of like a whole bunch of like radioactive items and like throws them into the ocean.
Classic Deadpool stuff.
Yeah, but like the way that he did it, like it was like a loophole of like whoever like made that contract. I forgot how it went, but like Deadpool like outsmarted this guy that like he didn't like by being Iron Man and being stupid in the Iron Man suit.
Yeah, that is a predictable way that Deadpool wins. Predictable he does. And yeah, I believe Pepper also made him like, and lots of deaths.
Yeah, it's such a roller coaster of emotions, especially like if you were like a really big fan of these characters like right before they became like really popular, because they go like really hard on this. Like even like when Magneto like goes to talk to Charles Xavier, and he's like, "Oh, of course they're coming for me. I saw this coming like all along." He's like, "Well, guess what, Magneto? Turns out like if you like do this, you're just not gonna be any better than everybody else who's tried taking over the world. You know, like Stalin, Hitler," and then like that triggers them, and he's like, "You know what? You received one free neck stab there, buddy." And so he goes over, and, like, he just snaps. Yeah, he just snapped Xavier's head, like in his own wheelchair. Like he could have used like any kind of like metal, like anything like projectile to kill him. He's like, yeah, this, you kind of just made it personal there. So he just breaks his neck with his bare hands.
Yep.
It's like, this was inevitable. I should have just probably just killed him before he even started talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really have their whole subtle rivalry there.
Yeah, but what's weird to me is that it's named Ultimatum. I mean, do they only call it Ultimatum because it's already the Ultimates? I'm thinking because there's no.
They want the puns.
Yeah, they just want the puns because like there's no ultimatum that anybody has to choose between. He just ends up getting incepted, and he's like, "Hey, guess what? Mutants are just people with superpowers. Get over it." Like, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, the title doesn't even make any sense there.
Was that Jeff Loeb that wrote that?
Maybe I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I remember like a few on
Yeah,
the.
it's definitely a weird.
I'm still doing stuff today.
Yeah, it's such a weird ending too. It's like, oh no, what have I done? People with superpowers, and then his son comes up. Hey, guess what? I'm gonna be Magneto.
I'm
now.
Magneto now.
Just cause.
My job now.
Yeah.
You
Time
didn't see
for
that
me.
coming?
Yeah. Time for me to be the master of magnetism. How are you gonna do that?
I don't know.
Magnets.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He just runs at super speed to like move metal objects faster
Look at
than
it,
anyone
Magneto
can see
now.
it.
Oh.
He just
They
picks
can't
up
see it.
metal, he just picks up metal objects and gives the illusion that he's holding it like in the air.
Oh, that's my Magneto right there.
Yep, he's just like throwing them at people and going, "Wait, did you just
Magnet power.
throw that at me with your hands, or did you use magnetism?" Yes.
Yes.
You're super fast. Magnetism.
Magnetism.
But magnetism! I'm like my daddy!
I'm pretty sure you just picked that up. Magnetism, bruh.
You can't prove it otherwise.
Oh, he just throws like a whole bunch of like those magnet rocks that you get like at a gift shop.
Chucks them at someone. But really, if you're really like Magneto, then pick up a stadium. Alright, give me a few hours. Just super speeds like a whole bunch of scaffolds.
That'd be funny. Well, it looks like I wasted a lot more time than I was hoping to do. However, I did have a lot of fun explaining this story. I don't think I explained it like well enough to explain why it became so unpopular. Hopefully, maybe I can come back to that on another occasion.
I feel like you covered it, you know, with the gruesomeness and the gratuitousness of the story. Yeah, I feel like definitely turned some people off.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I know that Marvel Zombies, like, a lot of people like that, and like, I think
I don't think your story needs to necessarily
Some
not
people
be
didn't like it because it
gross,
was,
but
gratuitous and
Yeah.
like, you can have a gross Marvel story and it can still be good. But,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I guess it just wasn't what people were quite expecting for something like that. Yeah.
yeah, because like the zombie thing that makes sense because they're all.
It is, yeah, exactly. It's in the name.
yeah, it's
yeah.
not like you can go like, oh my god, the zombies are gross. I want my money back.
Oh god.
Yeah. There's blood in the zombie movie. That's
Oh.
going to offend my child.
Refund.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't make that excuse, but like with this,
Yeah. Yeah.
Was anyone really expecting the wasp to be eaten?
Oh, it's a man, it doesn't really reveal too much about like cannibalism or anything. It should show us like a better name, I suppose. Marvel is cannibalism or something. I don't know.
I wonder if the message was just don't trust really obese men. Like, don't leave anything out. It's like, what things should I leave out? Literally everything. That includes you. If you're alone in a room with an obese man, get out immediately. He's getting.
Yep.
Oh, looks like I got myself a little smackerel. Anyway, I'm glad to talk to you about these stories and to for you guys to talk about these stories. But I think we're gonna end up,
Stories that everyone loves. Yes, everyone's favorite stories. Right there on their shelves, right next to them.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody loves them.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff that Marvel Studios will eventually put out on the big screen.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
I mean, they're putting out content right now that already pissed people off. So why not these stories?
Just go further. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just push the envelope.
Exactly.
Yeah, I say not, but like they totally will. Civil War 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't punch Tony Stark into a coma now. But,
Yeah. Just bring him back. Multiverse.
They'll
and
just
then-
they'll just get Tony Stark to get played by Tom Cruise just so they can have Civil
Just
War.
like, it's gonna
they
happen.
punch
Doctor
Tom
Strange too.
Cruise, Tony Stark into a coma.
Just to put him in a coma. That's the only reason they got him.
Exactly. I'm actually scared that might happen.
Oh my god. Honestly, maybe.
Well,
Does
thank
his
you
own
guys.
stunts and actually gets punched into a coma.
Oh god.
Like Brie Larson comes up and like he tells her to actually punch.
Punch me, I can take it. Go on, do it.
him,
Okay,
so
I've
they
been
have to
working
get
out,
stuff
but
done
alright.
because He can't feel it, so they get like twice her size. Alrighty, well, I think that's gonna about do it for this episode. Thank you guys very much for coming on again and telling your stories. I have been your host, the Funny Hatter, and to my left has been Victor, the X-Men, and to my right, Christopher, the Z-Man.
Hey, hey!
Yeah, it's gonna make him the Z-Man because he's
Z-Man.
milk.
Yep.
Alrighty, bye guys.
Adios.
What if your face was made of bumblebees? You would be like, dude, this really sucks. I do not want a face made out of bumblebees. What if your dad was made of rainbows? You would be like, OMG, that's lame. I want a dad made out of ninja robots.